Welcome, everybody, to week 13 of the League Baum podcast. Oh, it's good to have our podcasts, isn't it? Man. Well, welcome, everybody. This week, it is just me, myself, and I with a nice brewski and just talking fantasy football to all my friends, family, whoever, because I love this. And yeah, that's pretty much how that goes. So let's kick it right off with a little bit of some Thanksgiving week reaction. I just want to say that I enjoyed my Thanksgiving a ton. Had way too much to eat. Had two dinners. Had stuffing, two different turkeys, meatballs, meatball minestrone soup. Like the food was endless. Had a couple of beers, had a couple of l'chaims, some shots for our not non-Jewish audience. Um, there was just a lot of good food, a lot of good drinks, and a lot of good time. And it was a really nice weekend, and it was capped off with some wins in fantasy, some losses in fantasy. But went 2-2 in the four leagues I got, so headed out a little bit even, but we move right along, and it's about to be fantasy playoff time, which is really exciting. I know for my league, League Baum, the top teams geared up and are ready to go. There's going to be later on in the show, we're going to have some matchup breakdowns, and you're going to see the stacked teams are definitely going to be matching up, and the not so great teams, me and Becker, shout out, are going against each other as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, we're like an hour away from kick, and it's going to be week 13. There was a lot of news today with DNPs and people that were practicing that weren't supposed to practice, and then just a lot of NFL news. I was out by my buildings, property management, blah blah blah. But I was out, and I like saw there was so much news, and I couldn't look at it because I had to take care of work. And I was just like, whoa, all right, there's gonna be a lot to talk about tonight, and by myself, so it's gonna be fun. Okay, so we're gonna just to hop on that Thanksgiving week reaction. There was a lot of good football and a lot of like craziness. Obviously, the red zone fiasco with the overtime between the Seahawks and the Raiders going off air on red zone in the United States, and then not being available in most of the country on CBS, like Scott Hansen told us. But things happen, and I believe that he apologized, even though he wasn't necessarily responsible, because that was what he was told. But we live and learn, and Red Zone's going to do better. I have no doubt that Scott's going to be on all their butts and make sure that doesn't happen again. All right, so again, we had three amazing Thanksgiving games, which was very exciting. I made a little bit of cash, definitely with the early game, having the Lions plus 9.5, locked that in real quick, and it was feeling so good. I was chilling by my brother-in-law at that point, Jesse. We were rooting hard for the Lions, and having that last second fear of, oh, they're driving and they might have like a pick six because Jared Goff can do that. But then like once they tied the game up, and basically it was either the Bills are going to get the field goal and win, or we're going to overtime and we're locked into the W. It was pretty nice last little bit of the game. And then also just at the end of the week, in that aforementioned crazy overtime 40-33, I think that's what it was, game between the Raiders and the Seahawks, we had Josh Jacobs go absolutely nuclear, 303 scrimmage yards. The dude is the RB1 on the season, which is incredible for a fifth, sixth round value of what he was in the draft. I myself had the opportunity to keep him as a fourth rounder. I would have gotten laughed at. But he right now is someone that's been a league winner for a league, just a fantasy superstar, and is someone that if the Raiders stay competitive at the end of the year, he's definitely going to be someone that can win people fantasy championships, and you'd love to see that from someone that's going to get paid, likely by the Raiders, might I add, but someone that's going to be who's on his contract year, got his 5th-year option declined, and balled out. We'd love to see that from these competitors, especially Alabama guys. If I don't say so myself. Well, okay, let's get into a little bit of the news, which today I saw that David Njoku was a DNP. He still has a new knee injury, not the one that was previous. So I'm going to have a little bit of a tough time in a couple of leagues not being able to start him. Travis Etienne practiced today, limited. We had Najee I believe he was a DNP. He was a DNP today, correct? I love Roto World. It's Roto World, NBC Sports Edge. It's Roto World. DNP. So I believe Jalen Warren's going to get the lion's share of the backfield for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and is definitely going to be able to have an opportunity for those who spent some fab on him, to make them very happy as a nice little flex option over there. We have the OBJ news. I mean, I think he's going to the Cowboys. Von Miller, I don't know what Von Miller's saying nowadays, because he's saying, oh, it's not over. But then he was saying also that he was going to be ready for the Jets game. But now he's on IR today because Brandon Beane wants him to be ready for the stretch run, which as a Jets fan, I'm all for. Don't play against us. I don't need your pass rush abilities against our offensive line. That is fantastic. And another storyline that I love is that the defending Super Bowl champion, Los Angeles Rams, maxed out the credit card, absolutely just spent too much, and are an absolute dumpster fire. Aaron Donald's not going to play the rest of the year. Obviously, we know Cooper Kupp's not playing the rest of the year. I would be shocked if Matthew Stafford played the rest of the year. They don't have Allen Robinson. They're basically throwing out a triple A squad out there with all the different options. And I think that they are one of the squads that you can just say, you do not have to play any players from them in fantasy. All you have to do is basically target them on defense for your defenses to stream each week down the stretch, because I mean, they've been the worst offensive line in football. They've been giving up the most points against for fantasy defenses over this season, and they're just a delightful matchup for defenses all around. And then the last thing we'll get into before we hit up the matchups for the week, the great games this week, by the way. Fantastic. The NFL. There were even more. I have on here 6 games, 5 including the game tonight. Obviously, you're going to hear this after the game most likely, but I'm going to give my little 2 cents, put it out in the earth before it happens. Right now we're sitting at 7:00, an hour 15 before kickoff. And so yeah, very excited for the slate of games. But one game that I did not mention, although I mentioned one of the players that will be infected by this, is the return of Voldemort. And who is Voldemort? That is he who must not be named, which is Deshaun Watson. Why? We all know why. We all have eyes and ears and know what know skivats when we see one. And yeah, so to me, he's Voldemort. And to the fantasy footballers, he's Voldemort. And I love that nickname because it is hilarious. And now that is basically what I am going to call him for the rest of the time. And I enjoy that tremendously. So I think he's going to be rusty. I think that the storyline of him coming against the Texans, he's wanting revenge. Texans, you don't need to throw on them anyway. Nick Chubb is more than capable. You might even actually see Kareem Hunt in this game later on, because they'll be up by 3-4 scores by halftime or afterwards. Do the Texans make it a little bit interesting? Yes, probably a little bit, because they want to have that ability to show it. Oh yeah, we got rid of this guy. He sucks and whatever. Talent is apparent and apparently lacking for the Houston Texans, and they're not going to be able to keep up with the Browns running the ball against them. Will Amari Cooper have a great game? I think he will. But he'll probably have 100 yards and a touchdown before halftime and then mail it in the rest of the game, along with Voldemort and the rest of the Browns squad. So let's get into our weekly, not our weekly matchups, but the matchups for week 13. Some great games. I am in love with this slate. Like, I have DFS lineups that I'm going to be making, and I'm just loving the different correlations. A game or two that I think can outperform what people think. There's the big AFC championship game rematch from last year, and just like a lot of fun moving parts. But first, we're gonna get to the Bills at the Patriots tonight in an hour, where we have Josh Allen going up to New England, where he is 3-1 in his last 4 starts. He has 13 touchdowns, no interceptions, and crazy success against Bill Belichick. A lot of that did come in the playoff game, I believe. Where they absolutely destroyed. I think they put up 50 points against them, if I remember correctly. As Evan Roberts from Cardinal Roberts said, they took the Patriots' soul. And I just believe that the having the Bills go on the road right now, they are a defense and a team that are definitely reeling. Now, haven't played their best football. Their best football was way back in the beginning of the season at this point, and they're struggling on defense. Not having Von Miller, as I mentioned, now on IR. They're getting a little bit healthier at corner with Tre'Davious White and one other guy in the secondary who came back last week. I'm not sure. I believe that they're still on the field right now. So they are getting a little bit healthier, but I don't think that it's going to be enough to stop Ramondre Stevenson, who I believe is going to have a very nice game running the ball, and he's going to be I would not be surprised if he led the Patriots in in receptions. He's been getting the ball out of the backfield in every game that he's had without Damian Harris in the lineup. He's had over 20 touches, which is definitely something you want to see, especially against the struggling Bills defense. Now, on the other side of the ball, obviously, you're going to start Josh Allen's going to have a great game. I think that having a QB that's going to run the ball in the cold in New England. Yes, Bill Belichick wants to take away your best weapon, who's Stephon Diggs, but I don't think that's going to be happening. Steph is going to have at least 70 yards and a touchdown, most likely. Now, here's the real question. Do you start Gabriel Davis? Obviously, you had to make that decision by the time you listen to this. Gabriel Davis, I don't think is going to have a great game. I think that Isaiah McKenzie is going to have those little targets in the middle of the field and probably have a touchdown to Dawson Knox because he's playing against me in 2 different leagues. So, fire up your Dawson Knox shares. And the only other player on the Patriots I would start is, besides Ramondre, is probably Jacoby Myers. I traded him in a couple leagues. I honestly regret it because I think he's a very good football player. Did get a little bit banged up in the last game. He is expected to play at this point. And I think that he'll have a nice game, probably somewhere in the 6-7 catch, probably like 5-6 catch range, 60 yards, most likely. And that's why I still think Ramondre is going to have 7 catches. Like, he's going to have a great game overall. And I'm very excited for it because he's really good at football. Now, as a Jets fan, I don't know who to go for in this game because good for them if the Patriots win. It's good for them if the Bills win. I hate both teams. But I'm going to root for Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs because I have them in different leagues, but I have both of them. And whatever happens, and I'll be happy with whoever loses. So that's definitely a positive in that. But with the 3.5, so I actually took a very fun prop bet tonight. I actually took the Bills minus a half a point at plus 108. I believe that line has already moved down to plus 104. I got it. I saw it at plus 104, and then it went up to plus 108. So I like that. So Josh Allen, please start off strong, my friend. That would be very nice. A nice little wager for Baum over here. And then I also took a little bit of another prop, a nice SGP. as we like to say. So hopefully those hit, and I'll have some nice quiche to spend on Sunday. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go a little bit out of order here and go with I have the Jets Vikings, but I feel like if I start off with my Jets, I'm gonna go on forever. And if it's in the middle of all the matchups, I'll be happier. Of course, on FanDuel Sportsbook, where I make all my bets right now. Not all of them, but a good amount. Um, they're they're the first matchup up. But we are going to go a little bit out of order, like I said, and start with the Jaguars versus the Lions. Now, if you told me at the beginning of the year that this was going to be one of the more exciting games on the docket, I would have laughed, because the Lions, really, the Jaguars, really. But these two offenses have happened to, especially the Lions at home and the Jaguars of late, have been a very fun offense to target. And I mean, there's a 51.5 point total for a reason. Vegas definitely thinks that this is going to be a nice, high scoring game. There's weapons on both sides of the ball, obviously. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a stud. One of my biggest L's to open the year with thinking that he wasn't going to be as good, having all these different. Jared Goff's going to have more weapons. No, the reason why he was really good last year, even though they didn't have anyone around him, is because he's really good. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a wide receiver 1/2 for probably the next 5 years, because he's necessary to the offense. He's great at football. He gets open. He makes separation. He's a very good route runner, and he's definitely someone that you want to have on the squad right about now. Now, this is a little bit of an issue now. We have DeAndre Swift, and then we have Jamal Williams. Who's the more talented back? Obviously, it's DeAndre Swift. Who is the touchdown sniffer, as I would call him? That's Jamal Williams. 13 touchdowns on the year. It's 13 rushing touchdowns on the year is absolutely insane. He has a nose for the end zone like no other. I mean, they love him. If anyone watched any Hard Knocks, I did not, but I saw little bits and pieces. They love Jamal Williams. They always are going to give him the ball, which is why starting DeAndre Swift now is an issue, because you don't get the upside that you really want from someone that has the talent that he has. But with the talent he has, 8 touches, 10 touches can turn into a superstar fantasy day. So that's where you have to, make sure you have the certain lineups that make it conducive for you to start someone like that. If I were to start one of them, either Jamal Williams or DeAndre Swift, I would right now start Jamal Williams, just for the total, having the knack to get into the end zone. I mean, it pains me because I traded for DeAndre Swift in one of my leagues, but that's the reality of the situation. On the other side, it's a little bit dicey with Travis Etienne, because he got hurt in last week's game. They said that he would have been cleared to come in. He practiced it on a limited basis yesterday and today. I think he's going to go. I think he'll be less than 100%. But in this type of matchup, you're not going to not fire up your Travis Etienne. It's going to be probably a RB2. Catch some balls out of the backfield. Still get into some space. And when he's been on the field since the James Robinson trade, he's been an absolute stud. Even before the James Robinson trade, that's probably one of the reasons they traded away James Robinson. That's another story, him not wanting the playing time thing, whatever. Sticking to this game, now I think Trevor Lawrence is an absolute great play. However, here's my thing on this. Christian Kirk in your lineup, absolutely. Besides that, I don't really have faith in Evan Ingram, even though this is a very good matchup against the Lions. They're not a good tight end defense. Even defense against tight ends, they're not a really good defense at all. Marvin Jones, I don't like. Zay Jones, now he cropped up with a little bit of a chest injury. I believe he was limited in practice today. And I don't know. The footballers like to call him the spot starter. Obviously, last week he had an amazing game. I feel like it's just gonna get spread around so well. I think Trevor Lawrence is really starting to hit his stride, which kind of sucks as a Zach Wilson want to be good person. But Trevor Lawrence is definitely stepping into the role of the number one overall pick very well. So far in the second half of his second year, and it's going to be interesting to see if he's able to take that third year Josh Allen leap, that third year Mahomes leap, that next level, next step in the development of the franchise quarterback. Also, I do think that you can start Jared Goff if you need to stream as well. Besides that, I don't think you can start anyone else on the Lions besides Amon-Ra, unless you're going to be in a DFS lineup. Josh Reynolds, DJ Chark, those aren't guys you want in your regular fantasy starting lineup. You want that more in a GPP. Let's take a shot and win some nice money on it. For this game, I am going to choose the Lions at home because I think they're the better football team. I don't think they're better well coached, but the Jaguars have had a propensity to be in these close games, but happen to lose them. I think next year they can have these close games and win more of them. Obviously, they won against they won against the. What did they do last week? Oh my goodness, Yoni, what had happened? Jaguars, Ravens. What happened? I'm like, yeah, they won. I don't know why I bugged out. Okay. Forgive me for that, everybody. They obviously won a close game against the Ravens, who I think are falling apart. That's a whole separate issue. I just feel like the Lions are going to pull out the W at home. I mean, they play better at home for sure. Definitely their offense. I think both teams can put up. I think this is a nice 30 to 27 spot and a nice fantasy output game for the studs involved. Next up, we got the Titans and the Eagles, the revenge of A.J. Brown. Now, obviously, we all know that A.J. Brown, stud for the Philadelphia Eagles, was a second-round pick of the Tennessee Titans. He was their featured wide receiver for the better part of 3 seasons, and then was traded this offseason because they didn't want to give him an extension for the number 18 overall pick, the top 20 pick, whatever it was, straight up, basically. And the Titans picked Treylon Burks, who nice-looking rookie, definitely out of Arkansas, I believe, and he was definitely someone that people could see oh, this guy can be very good, but he wasn't A.J. Brown. Now, here's the thing about A.J. Brown. Past 3 weeks, no mas. He has not been good for fantasy. Obviously, he had the throw-up game and the game that he was sick last week, but no matter whether you're sick or not, if you're on my fantasy team and I'm starting you and you don't get points, you're going to be ticked off. So that's where it becomes a little bit dicey because you want to have you fire up your A.J. Brown with your Jalen Hurts, but you want to be able to have a little bit of confidence. Now, here's your confidence booster. The Titans defense and the Titans pass defense specifically is not very good. I believe on the Footballers website, yes, they are the second. They have allowed the second most points against fantasy wide receivers and schedule adjusted, same thing. Basically, they are just bleeding points to the fantasy wide receivers. So if Devontae Smith plays as well, I think it's going to be a very good matchup. And I think that Jalen Hurts is going to put up some numbers. And I think that A.J. Brown is going to want to put up some numbers on his old squad. However, you know who I love? Derrick Henry. And what's the weakness of the Philadelphia Eagles defense? Running the ball. And King Henry's going for 110 and 2. Easy. No doubt. Probably is going to have a nice little dump off pass, take to the house, and then Treylon Burks, like he did last week, fumble recovery, which is the craziest thing that his first NFL touchdown was a fumble recovery touchdown. Crazy stat. But yes, no, King Henry is going to have an absolutely fantastic game against the Eagles. And the way I see this game going is that I think that it's going to go game script perfect. Titans are going to get out to a lead, I believe. They're going to get out to a lead. Henry's going to be a very big part of it. Probably have a little bit of couple passes to Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks, I think, is a very solid flex play. Even though the Eagles have the good secondary, I still think this game is gonna. This is one of those games where I think it's going to outperform the expected point total, which is 44.5, as you see on the screen. And I think it's going to surprise some people, and might be a game that if in DFS you want to stack, this might actually be one of those games. And Jalen Hurts is going to have a very good game. He's going to come back and have some passing, some rushing. I think Miles Sanders is actually going to have a pretty down game. I would, if I could find another very solid option, I would probably try and pivot. The Titans are, while not good against the fantasy wide receivers, are one of the top, I believe, the top 5 RB defense, running defense against running backs. So if you have another viable option, I would probably try and trivet. Wow, this is what happens when you talk too much. Try and pivot off of Miles Sanders and look elsewhere. What else do we have? The tight ends, nothing really, because Dallas Goedert's hurt, and Austin Hooper, you're not really starting. Again, if you're in a DFS lineup, I think that's possible, but I love Titans plus 4.5. I love it. I think that the Titans are as well coached a team as any. Mike Vrabel gets his guys up for every single game. They basically almost beat the Chiefs without a quarterback. Last week was bad. They should not have lost that game against the Bengals. The Bengals bottled up Derrick Henry for the most part. And I just don't think that's how this game is going to be able to go. And I think it's going to be a tight game. If I had to choose who's going to win, I do think the Eagles pull it out. But I love the plus 4.5. And I think that the Titans are going to put up a very good fight. And this is going to be a very fun game to watch. On Red Zone for most of us, but just in general, a very fun game to look forward to. Next up, we'll go to the Jets and Vikings. Now, this is going to be the sneaky game of the week, where I think it's not going to be sneaky anymore because a lot of people are on this game, which scares me a little bit. But the total is not somewhere where you're like, oh, this is going to be a sick game, oh, whatever. 44.5, in that mid-range and mid-range total. That's most likely because of the strength of the New York Jets is their defense, and it's not the same thing for the Vikings. Jets defense is gonna get after Kirk Cousins in this game. We're gonna have Quinnen Williams is gonna get a sack and a half at least. I think he's gonna go for 2. Now I think also that Justin Jefferson is gonna have a very good game. Now, is that going to be against Sauce? Is it going to be against DJ Reed? I think it's going to be a combination. I don't think Sauce is going to shadow him the whole game. And Justin Jefferson is just that good. We love Darrelle Revis. Sauce, you're going to be amazing. You're not Darrelle Revis yet. Please turn into Darrelle Revis. But just the Jets secondary is going to have a very tough matchup. Adam Thielen's a very good wide receiver. Justin Jefferson, probably the best wide receiver, him or Tyreek Hill, in my opinion. I would probably take Justin Jefferson. And he's just that matchup is going to be a lot of fun. And I think that they're going to get tested more than they have been over the course of the season. And they're going to give up more points. I think they're going to give up 3 touchdowns, and which sucks as a Jets fan. But here's where all hope comes in shapes, sizes, colors, and people. Mike White, baby. Mike White. Yes, he runs our offense like it's supposed to be run at this point. Is he our future? I don't know. I don't care. I just want to win football games, and that's what matters. So, Mike White, Garrett Wilson is going to have an amazing game. You know how bad I was talking about the wide receivers for the bad a team is against wide receivers. Well, the Minnesota Vikings are just as bad as the Tennessee Titans, and in the last, I believe, 5 games, they're the second worst defense in football against fantasy wide receivers. And And that's also including only playing basically one half against the Dallas Cowboys, where they could have, if that game was a little bit competitive, they could have even destroyed even more. So Garrett Wilson's going to have a nice day. I think Tyler Conklin can have a nice day. I think the Jets offense scores 3 touchdowns as well. This is not going to be a 21-21 game, obviously. This is going to be one of those, also a 30-27, maybe both teams even get into the 30s. I like this game as a shootout. Why? Just because there's going to be good offense in this game. I think this is going to be one of the best games of the slate. It's going to be a fun one to watch as a casual fan, just to see, is Mike White going to do it again? Is he going to do it on the road? Is he able to supply, multiple very good wide receivers with good fantasy days on a consistent basis? And then the other person is Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook, please have a good game. Obviously, I don't want you to do well against the Jets, but you haven't been doing well that much lately, and I need you to step it up because my fantasy team needs it in one of my leagues, and you have not been performing. Do I think you're going to have a good game? I would say somewhere in the range of 60 to 70 yards. Probably have a couple of catches, although that's been inconsistent this season for Dalvin as well. And what I think is actually a lock is Garrett Wilson to get a touchdown. Plus 155. Oof, I love that. Gets open. He's such a good route runner. He's such a shifty guy. Garrett Wilson is phenomenal. And where do I see this game going? Also, TJ Hawkinson, I think, is going to have a good game as well. I think it's going to be fantasy goodness galore for everybody involved. So, where do I think this game is going? Obviously, I'm going to pick the Jets. Duh. The +3 is more enticing than a money line for whatever. But no, what am I talking? Scratch what I just said. Plus 132. If you can get it to plus 140 in a different book, go ahead. But Jets are going to get this W. And hopefully, if everything goes well, it goes into first place. Okay. Next up, I think I covered everybody that's important in that game. Justin Jefferson. Oh, I don't think Kirk Cousins and Mike White are good streaming options if you want. And DFS dart throws, especially Mike White in a tournament, you could do a lot with your lineup if you're able to get him in there. Next up, we have the Dolphins and Niners. Now, this is a fun game as well. Obviously, having Coach Mike McDaniel coming from the 49ers system, as well as Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert, which was the 49ers backfield, last year? So a lot of revenge to be had in this game. Also, the 49ers defense hasn't allowed a second half touchdown since week 8. Boys and girls, we are in week 13. That is insanity. They are such a good defense. Now, great offense usually beats great defenses. And in this game, I can see that happening. And now, earlier in the week, I thought, this is going to be such a good game. I think that it could have the highest total. A nice fun prop bet you're not going to see over here right now is actually the Dolphins at plus 3,100 to lead, have the most points on Sunday. Is a very nice prop bet. However, 49ers defense is unbelievable. They're getting healthier and healthier each week. And they've lost a lot of starters and whatever, but they somehow just managed to continue to be a very shutdown defense. Now, let's talk about the weapons. Debo was a DNP today, which was a little bit of little worrisome. If he doesn't play, Brandon Ayuk to the moon, and George Kittle as well. Now, Christian McCaffrey also said that he was fortunate and dodged a bullet, quote unquote, by not having a serious injury. He is going to be playing through some pain. Obviously, not Jeff Wilson, Elijah Mitchell now out for 6 to 8 weeks. We're not having him in there, and most likely having either Jordan Mason, Ty Davis Price, even Tevin Coleman is thought to have a role in the backfield. So a lot of mouths to feed. Jimmy G is a great streaming candidate. I think that I would have him in the top like 9, 8, 9 QB on the week because the Dolphins defense is trash. And that's where I think this game has the potential to be a shootout because I feel like I have a feeling the Niners are going to put up points. So the Dolphins will have to, but what gives? What gives in this game? Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are definitely going to get a lot of points because they always do. They're amazing. I would probably say they are the number one wide receiver combination. Them or T. Higgins and Jamar Chase when healthy. You'll hear about them in a little bit. Mike Gesicki, I don't play around with that. George Kittle, obviously, you're not going to really have a much better option on your squad 9 out of 10 times, so you're obviously going to fire him up in the tight end spot. Brandon Ayuk is whether Debo plays or not, he's been one of the most consistent players in fantasy. So there's almost no way I'm trying to get him out of my lineup unless I'm a bit heavy underdog. I need like 20 points, 20, 25 points from my flex. Although like I said, if Debo's out, that is in the range of outcomes for Brandon Ayuk because his splits also with Debo out of the lineup, just the same way that Debo splits without Brandon Ayuk in the lineup, are much better relative to when they are playing on the field together. Now, what do I see this game going at? I don't know, bro. I can see this going in so many different directions. I can see the Niners squashing them. I can see the high-flying Miami offense just outperforming the Niners defense. But the most likely outcome, in my opinion, is having the Niners just outwork the Dolphins at the end, coming up with a stand and able to just survive. And I would probably take the Dolphins plus 3.5, but I like the Niners to win the game. That is where I stand on that. And then if you didn't think this was the game of the week, because on a ton of weeks, this is the game of the week, not even close. We have Patrick Mahomes versus Joe Burrow. All right. Everyone's saying Brady Manning, chill. Let's just appreciate it for what it is. We got Mahomes, we got Burrow, we got Kelsey, we got Jamar Chase back, we got T. Higgins, we've got Andy Reid. Oh, and then I don't know where I was going with that, but we got Andy Reid, and he's a lot of fun to watch coach a football team. This game is going to be awesome. 52.5, a pace of plays off the charts for both of these squads. They're high-powered offenses. The defenses are, solid to, I would say, middle of the pack, but, they're against these specific offenses, I don't see either team really stopping the other. I mean, I think that Isaiah Pacheco can get stopped if he gets the start and does something with it, because the Bengals obviously showed that they could stop Derrick Henry last week. No, this is a fun game. I actually think that Tyler Boyd is going to be a very good play in this game because Jamar Chase is definitely going to take the top off the defense, but he's not. I don't know if he's 100% healthy, and in those type of situations, I want to pivot, especially in again, I keep mentioning it, but especially in a DFS DraftKings lineup. Like I'm all over Tyler Boyd this week because I think that he's underpriced. He's not going to have the attention that the other two get. And he's definitely, he has 4 blow-up games in the season anyway. I think he only has 2 this season. So, and he might be due for one. Hayden Hurst is even someone that people are getting hot and heavy about this week. And, on the other side, Mahomes, Kelsey, do you fire up your juju after down game? That depends on your lineup. It's tough, but there's going to be points. So if you want pieces in this game, I would prefer my pieces to be on the Bengals side. But I'm contractually obligated in this house to pick the Chiefs to cover and to win. to win and to cover. Sorry. And I just am so excited for this game. It's going to be so much fun. Mixon is actually going to be back. He was in a limited practice today, got in a limited practice today, and I believe he's going to be back and ready to roll for Sunday. Okay, well, that concludes our. There are obviously other good games on the slate, but I thought that these were the creme de la creme, great games to talk about about this week. So let's get into the League Baum portion of this. Hi, everybody. League Baum. Hope you're enjoying. We'll get right into our matchups. Let's kick it off with the matchup of the week right off the bat. Oh my gosh, Akiva and Yoni. I feel so bad. Sorry, not sorry, honestly. Because your team is really good. You have the second most points in the league. But you get crap luck. Like your luck is awful. 4-8 with the second best record, like the second most points. That is just can't make that up, man. Can't make that up. And it's going to be another tough one because this could be another spot where you put up a lot of points and then don't win. Let's go right through it. Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes. I think both are going to ball out, so I kind of put that as a even split. CD, Waddle, and Metcalf. I mean, that's as strong as it gets. Lockett, Pickens, and Pittman. Definitely the advantage goes to Akiva and Yoni. And then the running backs, RB1s, I see split as Derrick Henry and Saquon. Obviously, I'm going to give the edge to Derrick Henry, but Saquon is so important, and I think he has a bounce back game against the Commanders this week, and I think the Giants win that game. Even though a lot of things pointing in the opposite direction, but the Giants are winning this game. And Tyler Lockett against the Rams is actually also, I think, is going to have a very good game. Andrews versus Kittle. I'm going to go with Andrews, even though he's been disappointing for the past few number of weeks since he's got hurt, since he was almost back and whatever. This is going to be an Andrews game. Lamar, I don't think is going to have a great game, but I think Mark Andrews has a very solid game. Aaron Jones versus Joe Mixon, both banged up, both in very favorable matchups. I think that I think this is a toss up also. Where I believe the matchup swings to Akiva and Yoni is the Dallas defense. Are definitely getting a W, or they're definitely getting a W against Indy. What happened with the clock management last week? I mean, I just still don't understand what the heck he was doing. Mr. Jeff Monday, Saturday, whatever your name. Travis Etienne is an interesting one. Do you start him over Zeke? Well, which game do I think is going to have the more total points? I think that's Detroit and Jacksonville. However, it's always tough because you don't want to rely on that injured player, especially when Zeke's been hot of late. It's tough. It's a tough call for sure. Akiva and Yoni having Christian Watson is tantalizing for sure, but you can't tell me a story where you're sitting CD, Metcalf, Henry. They also have Brandon Ayuk, I believe. Oh no, they traded Brandon Ayuk. My bad. But it's also having Jamal Williams. I don't see them benching them. I'm going to give the W to Akiva and Yoni for this week. Okay, where are we going to go next? We'll go to the super team of Avi versus Natan. I think I'm going to go with Avi, but let's just go through Natan's team because it's actually really good. The Jamar Chase trade comes back. Does Jamar Chase get revenge for Natan and absolutely ball out against Avi? T. Higgins and Jamar Chase in the same lineup. We get to see that for the first time. I would love for it to go well. Ramondre gonna have a good game tonight. Singletary, I don't know if he's gonna have a good game. Terry McLaurin, that's where I think Natan has a chance because Terry can blow up against the Giants. I think the Giants, like I said, I think the Giants are winning, but secondary has been struggling. They're getting less healthy, not more healthy, on that side of the ball, and that that unit for them. And I mean, obviously, I'm going to give the W to Avi when you have Josh Allen, Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey, Travis Kelce, Alvin Kamara, Justin Tucker, and the Tampa defense. Like, that's just not human. It's just, you're going to get the W. But does Nathan have any interesting start sits? Not really. He's going with the optimal lineup for sure. Foster Moreau has been in, I guess he's been in the Flames, sort of ish. I mean, he's had 2 out of 3 last good weeks, and the Chargers matchup is definitely a solid one. That was in consideration to be talked about today, but I thought the other matchups were better. So yeah, like I said, I'm giving the W to Avi. Okay, now battle for the playoffs over here, trying to position themselves for the end of the season, getting in to the tournament, are Joey and the Maris brothers. Now, this is going to be a fun matchup. Trevor Lawrence is going to have a very good game. Justin Fields was practice today, in full, I think, and he is going to be back. Is he going to have the same mobility? Is he going to have doesn't have Darnell Mooney, who is out for the year, and is he going to have the same ability to separate the way he did for a month of the season, where he was the quarterback 1? I mean, just absolutely crushing it for a month. Tyreek Hill and Christian Kirk. I mean, not having DeAndre Hopkins on the bye this week is definitely tough for the Maris brothers. But Nick Chubb and Dalvin Cook. Boy, I want Dalvin Cook to have a good game. And Jonathan Taylor over Debo. Debo is hurt, so that might affect Mr. Joey. And not having James Conner to replace him in the flex is also a little bit of a difficult situation. I would not start Kyron Williams. Like I said, do not start Rams players ever again for the 2022 season. And yes, I'm going to sound stupid by saying that, but that's just how I feel. And Dameon Pierce is also a little bit of a cat and mouse start, because Cleveland defense is terrible against the run, but is Houston good enough to do anything? That finally came to roost last week when he only had, I believe, less than 5 points. He had 3. It's actually come to roost the last 2 weeks, where he's had 2.7 points and 3.10 points and half point at PPR. That's tough from someone that you're expecting 20 touches out of to get that type of production. Gabriel Davis could have a huge game in a little bit, and really tip the scale into Joey's favor. But actually, I'm going to go with the dog here. I'm going to say that Trevor Lawrence balls out and tips the scale in Joey's favor, and Joey gets the W. Okay, let's go to our other playoff matchup, where the number 3 seed Mincemen, Seth Mintz, and the 4 seed Filer, some Herbs, who sold his team and still is competitive and is still, looking good. Lamar is trash this season. I don't know what, it is tough. He's had 20 points twice since week 3. That is just tough to think about when you think of MVP Lamar Jackson, but he hasn't been. And against the Denver defense, they could score less than 21 points. So unless he is less tentative in the pocket, more decisive in the pocket, and actually runs, I don't think he's going to have a great game. So I definitely give the edge to Burrow on this. Now, the problem is that Cortland Sutton is also going to have a terrible game. Ayuk, again, I think he's going to have a solid game if Debo plays. Great game if Debo doesn't. Devontae Smith, like I mentioned earlier, going to have a good game, very good game as well. Godwin, Cooper, and Olave. I think you have to give that edge to Seth on that for sure. Mr. 300 himself, Josh Jacobs. Is he going to come back and be fully healthy? Are they going to give him full workload like they did last week? Yes. David Montgomery has an amazing matchup against the Packers, so I think that he is going to do very well. So I actually put that in a little bit of a tie. If Najee plays, I don't know what he's going to look like. If he since he's more hurt now. When he played hurt earlier in the year, he didn't look good. Finally was getting healthy. Then this happened. But I don't think Miles Sanders is going to have a good game. So I think that's a little bit of a wash as well. Dalton Schultz over Cole Kmet, absolutely. Tony Pollard and Rachaad White. Leonard Fournette played practice in full today. So is Rachaad White going to have as good of a game as I thought he was going to? Probably not, but I think he's still the starter, and I think he's going to still have a very solid game. Tony Pollard is taking over as Zeke's still going to Zeke, and Zeke's still going to have a lot of carries because Jerry Jones is in love with him. Pollard is getting more and more involved, and I give that edge actually to Pollard. I don't know why. Something's telling me to pick Filer, but I'm going to put my pick on Seth but I put this at a much more 50-50 than Yahoo's 64-36 projection. Is there any start sits that I would see? A.J. Dillon also has a very good matchup. I wouldn't put him in over anybody. On the other side, Seth isn't really putting Latavius Murray in over any of his guys. Maybe Rachaad White if you don't feel that he's going to get the big workload. But the more explosive guy is definitely Rachaad White. So if you're looking for upside, it just makes sense to start the rookie. And last but not least, I wanted Becker on the podcast this week, but he didn't get back to me. Shout out. No, it's all good. He didn't. He said that he was busy. A little bit later. Anyway, I'm just messing. Gino is gonna have a great game because the Rams suck. Amon-Ra is gonna have a great game, like I said. I mean, the rest of his squad is just trash. So is mine. I don't even want to talk about this. Garrett Wilson's going to have a great game, which I'm very excited about. Treylon, that's going to be something. The Green Bay defense against Chicago is definitely something to look at. I mean, I don't have anything on the bench that's going to put me over the top. My team is so bad that I'm starting 2 tight ends possibly. That's how bad it is. With Njoku and Everett and Bam Knight in his lineup and the previously mentioned Fournette and Taysom Hill. I'm giving me the W because Garrett Wilson's in my lineup, and I think that he's just going to put me over the top. And Brian Robinson might have a very good game as well against the Giants. And yeah, Donovan Peoples-Jones also might have a good game with Voldemort as the quarterback. Well, we've got to the end of the program, and it was a lot of fun to talk for an hour because I enjoy doing it. So, and my wife is about to come home, so that's even better. Hope everybody enjoyed me talking and that everyone enjoys their week 13. It's going to be a very fun week, 6 games. I'm very excited to have this awesome slate, and we are going to see everybody next week, hopefully with somebody to do this with me. All right, go Jets! Woo!